It's called Kolven, and it has more in common with golf than just the name. This house, not far from Amsterdam, was the starting post for an annual game of golf since 1297. The first hole, so to speak, was this castle. The match was played on Boxing Day with wooden balls and a wooden club called a kolf. Through the village street, the players went to the mill, and then across the fields to a second castle, now the site of a farmhouse. The whole route was 4.5 kilometers. Nowadays, the game of golf is played on an indoor court, 17.5 meters long and 5 meters wide. There are always 3 players. The first stroke, or outstroke, is driven from the front post to the back post. If the outstroke hits the back post, the ball may be placed in a favorable spot on the circle around that post. If the ball misses, it must be returned from the intersection of the circle and the area where it landed, a spot that's marked with chalk. Then the ball is driven via the back post to the front post. The player tries to get the ball in a favorable position near the post, for that's where he hits his third and final stroke, a scoring stroke, via the front post to an area at the other end of the court. The most he can score is 12 points. One game consists of 5 sets of 3 strokes, so the highest possible score is 60 points. But an average of 40 points is quite high, for playing golf is more difficult than it seems. Several centuries ago, golf was played on open-air malls, and the rules were different. This street in a big Dutch city is still called baan, or mall. And in this document, dating from 1390, the ruler of these days granted permission to use that mall for playing golf. Amsterdam, too, had its golf malls outside the city, for inside it was too much of a nuisance. In winter, golf was played on ice, which can be seen on paintings of old Dutch masters. Today's golf courts are to be found near pubs, mostly in the western part of the Netherlands, north of Amsterdam. It's the only region where golf is played in many towns, and where a few men are still capable of making the real traditional golf balls from twined wool. A difficult and time-consuming job that starts like this. The wool is wound into a ball, which must be firm, but which at all times must keep its bounce. When the woolen ball has reached this size, strips of felt are glued on. Today, rubber cores are also used, but even then, it's quite a job to turn it into a proper golf ball. A nice dance floor, isn't it? Yes, indeed, but there's more to it. Here, golf is played several times a week, on a court under the dance floor, which is hoisted up by a specially designed mechanism. When the owner of the pub decided to alter it, he thought installing this expensive unit would pay, and he was right, for in his town, the game of golf is becoming ever more popular, and not only with men. Twice a week, the women's club plays golf. In 1885, this pub was the scene of the founding of the Dutch Golf Association, on the initiative of a village doctor who liked the game and who feared it might die out, because at the time its popularity had decreased. And his idea paid off. The association became a fact, old courts were restored, and new ones were built, and some were very distinguished. Once again, the game of golf is popular in the Western Netherlands. There are some 50 clubs, and when a village organizes its annual championship, it's a very special day. This super player scored high in the preliminaries, and now he scores high again. So congratulations are in order. But the battle hasn't been won yet. A few other favorites still have to play, so tension mounts. And then fate interferes. Two of the most likely winners both missed the front post. 0 points. It's clear that tension is taking its toll. And he's not happy either with his scoring stroke. He scored only 3 points. Now, for the final round between him and this man. His second stroke hits the front post, which puts him in a most promising position for the scoring stroke. Now his opponent must make the final stroke. And he scores only 6 points. And with the final stroke of this championship, he scores the highest possible, 12 points. So here's the new champion. Quite a feat in this region, where the traditional sport of golf has made a real comeback.